Hi everybody, I have been joined by Mark and Dom from Paranoid Miniatures, and well, obviously we have the guys over doing some filming, and so I want to get a sit-down chat to actually see how things are going with Mythos, which is your game.
Yes.
So, you know, you had the Kickstarter, what's happening?
Wow. Well, yeah, we had the Kickstarter. We had a year's worth of production and putting things together, the character artwork, the sculptors, everything. So those 12 months went really quick. We managed to deliver on time in full to people.
So everybody who backed is now got it?
Everybody who backed has now got it.
So that's during the Kickstarter and backer kits?
Yeah, everything.
Lovely.
All delivered. We said May time for delivery, which is what we did. Tail end of May we got to. And we managed to squeeze a freebie in there for people as well. Managed to give them a free physical rulebook, which we spent some time designing and putting together. So we wanted people to have a physical copy of the rulebook to get them started. So.
That's fantastic. Now, you see, this is one thing so many people don't consider whenever they think, oh, I'll go do a Kickstarter. Whenever you actually start planning out your Kickstarter, you are estimating for everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's that thing. You guys were nicely far ahead whenever you first came to us with Mythos to actually do some videos and chat about.
Yeah.
And seeing where it came to now, I am so happy. The miniatures are absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. So, how exactly did you guys do your Kickstarter? Because I know you ran your main campaign, but then you actually did you opened up like a backer kit afterwards. Now, how did that work for you?
Yeah, we had a number of stretch goals that we unfortunately didn't get to, but we used backer kit as a vehicle to unlock one of our sort of other factions, which was the Order. So we got to a certain money through backer kit, and we said to everybody, right, we've done really well, so we're going to unlock the Order and put those into the mix for people to pledge on as well.
You see, there's an idea I like, that even though the Kickstarter campaign was over, you guys were happy to actually, you know, keep the stretch goals running for the people who were jumping in late. You know, it's a really nice touch.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the Order do look beautiful. Yeah, we have some of them on the tabletop here. I'm going to grab one of them.
Yeah.
I know these guys are very new, so are they named? They're all named and
yeah, they're all named. So who you've got there is Chester, who's the leader. Who's effectively in our game controlled by a demon called Chronozon.
Oh dear. I was wondering what was going on here, and then I saw this big skull creature rearing up out of his back.
Yeah.
The details are gorgeous. I love the way you've actually got the blend where the demon's coming out from the kit, because that's one thing that's not easy to do, is actually merge the two, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you can. We had a guy called James Kahn who sculpted these for us, and you can tell when a sculptor really gets into a project, really loves the brief they've been given, and I think that sort of transposes into the models that they're finally produced. Yeah,
well, I mean, I'm getting such like a Dorian Gray vibe off this guy. Is that the sort of character we're talking about?
I think certainly from the artwork, it just got sort of echoes of Dorian Gray,
And then the rest of the faction, these are essentially like manhunters within the world?
Yes, they wield man catchers, so the idea in the game, these guys can latch onto your enemies and they hold them in place, and your other models get bonuses against the models they're attacking.
I see. So basically, they hook him, and these guys stab him.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, those ones you got there are female.
I see.
Yeah, they're twins effectively. John and Jane Talbot and Elizabeth and Edward. Elizabeth and Edward Talbot and John and Jane Wilde.
I see. They're lovely, and they have a real sort of Shadow Society feel to them, just with the masked faces.
We couldn't go into doing a sort of Lovecraftian inspired game without doing cultists. You know, that was a little shoe-in for us, really, to be honest.
I mean, like your sculptors have done a fantastic job. Now, these were all CAD designed, yeah?
Yes,
all digitally designed?
Everything we've done has been 3D designed.
And now, this is the thing. Was there a specific reason you guys wanted to go down the 3D route?
Yeah, it was a decision we took early on. We decided to go digital rather than traditional, just for ease of posability. And it was definitely something that we discussed and decided as a group that was the way we wanted to go. Certainly with the kind of evolution of 3D printing now as well. Technology's moving on.
Oh yeah, some of the 3D print stuff you see these days is absolutely crazy. I mean, like, I've seen one where it's literally, you have the bath of material, it fires a laser into it in the shape of it, and then it just draws it out. And What? What sorcery?
Star Trek.
Well, yeah, they use it to print parts on like the International Space Station, all kinds of stuff now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, the game is now full retail.
Yes.
So anybody that wants to actually grab some of the miniatures can jump onto your website.
Yep, jump onto our website. Yep.
And just pick them up. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all on our online store. Every model you see here on the table here is up for sale. We're doing obviously faction sets,
Of course.
but you can buy them individually as well if you want to.
We see this is the thing. As well as being great characters for your game, because each faction is so characterful, you could use them for role playing minis very, very easily.
Yeah, when we go to shows, we have a lot of people that will pick up sort of, but we haven't actually sold at retail at shows yet because we're concentrating on giving to our Kickstarter backers first.
That's a good plan.
Yeah, but we've been to shows and we've been showing off the models. But yeah, there's been a lot of comments about people wanting to pick up individual ones for role playing and other game systems.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like if you pass me the big bug, the Crypt Guardian.
Yeah.
The last time you guys were across, we only got to see these in sort of art format.
Yeah.
So this will be like the first time I've actually been able to hold and look at these under camera for everybody at home.
Yeah.
This beastie is huge. And the way it is actually translated from the artwork to the 3D render and then to the actual miniature, it's one of the most faithful transitions I've ever seen actually been done. And on the tabletop, I can't wait to see what these things actually do.
Talking, from a sort of 3D CAD design perspective, the Guardian's probably a classic example of why we chose the route we did, because the initial model that we had to do a little bit of work on producing sort of more stability in the model. So with using the CAD design, that was quite easy to go back to the sculptor to say, right, we just need a few minor adjustments, and it's resulted in a very stable model. So yeah, traditional sculpting that would still have been possible, but the process would have been a bit more difficult.
Rescaling as well is a major thing.
Yeah,
so you can make bigger or smaller.
Yeah.
I suppose if you get your initial 3D print out and you look at it and go, he's a little bit small, let's blow that up a bit. I want it bigger.
Yeah.
Bigger.
Which is what we did with the goat as well.
Yeah. Really? Oh, the goat. Yeah. So this is the myth for the Wildborn faction, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
All right. I'm still getting used to this. So here he is here, and oh my god, what creates this?
That was Dom's mind that created that.
Okay.
So within the kind of fluff and background of the game, he's a combination of a beast and a human. So he started off as a boy, he fell down, snapped his leg, and then he got kind of possessed, and he came out of the cave as this kind of beast.
Oh, back up. So this guy went exploring in the wilderness, decides to go into a cave.
Yeah.
Falls down a shaft, breaks a leg.
And then, changes start happening. There's obviously some kind of fall into some old ruins that he shouldn't have, and he gets a little bit warped and changed.
A little bit?
Yeah.
You call this a little bit? I would love to see you do a lot.
Well,
with the Wildborn, the premise is they're sort of blends of human and various animals as well.
Well, the perfect one to show this off is this character right here. So who is this?
This is Lauren. So she's a blend of a goat and a human.
Right.
And she's one of the fastest models in the game, actually. The Wildborn are quite speedy as a faction. She's the epitome of that.
Well, this is the thing, and the way her weapon, is that like a chain blade she's running around with?
Yes, yeah.
God, imagining that just flying at your head. The Wildborn are a very cool faction. Who else do we have on the tabletop here?
We've got the Priory, which are right in front of you there. I think they're your favourites so far.
Indeed.
And these ones actually we've had painted up by a guy called Scott Hockley, who painted up for us professionally.
Okay, so in other words, don't break these jumps. So here we have Maharal. Now this was one of the things that really, really drew me to the Priory faction. The idea that this ancient Egyptian golem has been reawoken and brought back to actual service by the leader of the faction.
Yeah, I mean, in our lore, Professor Lazarus has a sort of altered golem spell, because golems are usually obviously mud and clay. He's actually given a spell that will be able to produce a sand golem effectively that he can control.
And then, is this essentially an Egyptian spirit that he is bound to this? Have I got the fluff slightly wrong here?
He is a mindless golem controlled, by the professor, and others in the faction can have a limited amount of control over him as well. But his affinity is with the professor. But so I wouldn't say there was any spirit inside him, but he is. He's a sort of, an extension of the prof's will, effectively.
Right. Gameplay-wise, because this is one of the things that I have learned to love this week having you guys in. We've actually got a couple of demo games in the can.
Yeah.
I have loved this system. This is one of the cleanest systems I have played in a long time. And I don't say that lightly because I've been playing lots of games recently. You all know this. Everything is baked into your cards.
Yeah.
There is no flicking through that rulebook. Once you know the main mechanics, you just learn your cards and go.
Yeah.
That is such a great thing for me because the game gets out of its own way.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, is that what you were aiming for?
Definitely, from the start, we wanted something where we've played a lot of games where, like you say, you end up flicking through the rulebook, looking for keywords and various other things. We wanted everything on the table in front of you so you can reference all of your models, see all of their abilities, and just play.
Yeah. Now, there are some unique mechanics that you guys have thrown in, though.
Yeah.
So, what for yourselves, what would be your personal favourite mechanics that are in the game? Because you guys are the guys who have created this.
I think it would probably, I'd preempt it by saying that it's a shout out to Stu, who's one of the guys in Paranoid Miniatures, who you have one of those light bulb moments as companies, and ours was way back when we first started, and we were talking about sanity, insanity, and how to bring it into the game. And we knew
dealing with sort of Cthulhu.
Absolutely,
stuff, so
we had to have that, some sort of mechanic that would reflect that. And we'd all played games before using cards, etc. And Stu just said, well, why don't we just have a flip where the character changes on the other side?
So let me get this straight for everybody at home. So the character cards are double-sided.
Yep.
Stats are on both sides, but one side is, this is me normal, this is me at the start of the fight, I am ready for war, and then you'll hit a turning point for that particular character and it's just like, whoop, and now I'm a bit wibbly.
Yep.
Okay. And what exactly did that allow you guys to do for the actual game? What does that sort of show off during the gameplay?
So it's individual. So every model has a different way of flipping. So you've got a lot of the normal humans will flip when they reach a certain level of sanity. And they will either go mad or there'll be some explosive effect. So like the professor, for example, he puts out an arcane explosion and hits everyone.
Yeah,
nearby him.
Playing with that mechanic, trying to be sneaky with it.
Yeah. And then you've also got other models which can flip at will or on various other triggers. So we've treated each model as an individual and they have different ways of flipping. So we've used it in quite unique ways throughout the factions.
Currently for the missions that are in the book, you're normally going to have 5 to 6 miniatures aside. So you don't really have to worry about masses and masses of stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
For me, one of the great mechanics is the actual 2d6 system that you guys use, because you have your offensive and your defensive stat, and then you're just rolling 2d6, add the lot together, and then it's the difference is actually what the scale is on for a lot of things for your tests that are opposed.
Yeah.
And that just makes life so much easier, because it's not, okay, I'm going to roll, I'm going to roll, I'm going to roll, you're going to roll, I'm going to roll, and nothing happened.
Yeah, it's all baked into effectively 2 roles, your role and my role.
Yeah,
and then like you say, it's the difference in the final totals, which is the amount of wounds. We spent a lot of time working through each of the characters, making sure that the wound levels were going to be reflective of each character. We've all played games where you can get those sort of one-shot kills. And great that they are for being on the sort of the giving end of that, but on the receiving end, if you've literally just put a model down the table and 5 seconds later you're taking it off again.
Well, if it's that day that you've went to your mates or down to the club and it's just like, haha, I have bought my new super weapon. Oh, it's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. It blew up. What? Oh.
There are possibilities. The mechanics allow for if a high spike of a 6/6, for example, against a low 1/1. Then it's always going to be bad times. But generally speaking,
that's more of a thematic thing whenever you're doing that, because it's that moment where your guy has went into combat, he's rolled double ones, and the opponent has just been waiting for him going, oh, you slipped up.
Yeah.
Winding up, winding up, and good night.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't feel bad. There's no negative gameplay with that. You know, if a person's rolled a double six, you roll a double one, hey, that's the dice, and move on to the next activation.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I've noticed from the games we've played is I always feel like I have tactical options.
Yeah.
You know, I don't feel locked into any of my choices. I can always go, let's maybe change what I'm doing there. That needs reinforcement there. Let's go.
Yeah, and I think, like you said earlier, the key is, you know, we've only sort of working with 5 or so characters. You play a few games and you start to see how the levels can build up and the depth of the games. Each of the factions have a sort of running theme through them. The Priory, for example, have a sort of a teamwork ethos, so a lot of their abilities affect board wide, whereas Dom's is a sort of blood magic and having to take wounds to do additional things.
That's the Wildborn.
Oh, sorry, the Wildborn. Yeah.
Blood magic.
I assume you're a Wildborn player then?
Yes. Yeah, I designed. This is the faction that I designed.
I see.
Yeah, when we were building the game, each of us
took one to work on.
Faction.
Yeah. All right, for yourself then.
Mine was a Priory.
Oh, thank you. Yes. My hero. Now, the other thing is, the way you've done your cards, you've actually done them a little bigger, which I like, and then actually kept all your wound tracking and stuff off on a separate card.
Yes.
It keeps the board clean.
Yeah.
You're not having tokens and status effects lying here, there, and everywhere that can be forgot. It just mark it on your card, and whenever the effect happens, wipe it off the card and take whatever damage or effect it is.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted the Mythos is a narrative game, you know, where you want people to play storylines, and we'll come on to sort of campaigns and stuff later on, but you know, we wanted people to sort of really get as immersed as they can in the world, and having tokens for us personally was just takes a little bit of that narrative away. And having a nice clean tracking system, which, you know, your opponent can see from across the board. Yeah, you know, it's easy to track conditions. Yeah,
and if you notice you've done something slightly wrong, instead of having to say, should that marker be there, you can just say, oh, whoops, I actually forgot to wipe this off last turn. Yeah. Let's just clean that up now.
Yeah. No, it's a dab system. You know, you can use the cards we've designed are sort of standard card size, so you can get plenty of sleeves for them. So you can just dab on and wipe off it as you want. Yeah,
it also means that on the opposite side, you're able to just flip it and have a list of the status effects. So, oh, I'm not sure what that is. Flip. Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure as well that we gave people as much ability to on the table to do that. So, like you say, on the back of the tracker card, there's a list of all the conditions and a brief of what they do.
Yeah, and the last standout mechanic for me is that once a character actually has passed their sanity threshold, they're starting to roll on a table to see how they're reacting to the horrifying things that are happening on the tabletop.
Yeah.
And that can be anything from, I don't care, I have a job to do, right up to, hell with this, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Right, now, one thing I want to talk about is sort of your hopes and dreams for the future, where you guys want to take Mythos now that it's out there in the wilds and people can lay their hands on it.
Yeah.
So, honestly, if you went crazy and you got your absolute dream for Mythos, what would happen?
Right, so we've already got the artwork for 2 additional factions that have been produced. So we're looking to just sculpt the models for those and get more factions out there. We're also looking at additional models for the existing factions. We're also playtesting and producing at the moment a campaign system. The Sea Queen campaign, which is part of the Kickstarter that we're working through. Currently in playtesting. We've got a Facebook group that people can join and test the game. We're posting stuff in there. So if they want to get involved and give us some feedback, they're welcome to join us.
Okay, let's break this down a little bit. So first thing you want to do is make new factions and expand your current factions. Would you consider going back to Kickstarter to do that?
It's something we're having discussions about at the moment, absolutely. The 2 factions that we've got character artwork for are the Brotherhood and the Travellers, and people might well have seen those. We've shown them off.
We've had you on before showing those off.
The Brotherhood, I would say, are more advanced in regards to rules. You know, we've got all the artwork done, and they are sort of the police faction of Providence, where the game is set. But there's a bit of a twist to them, and they're Wendigos as well.
Oh, so they can transform?
Yeah, they can transform. Some have transformed and can't transform back. Some can transform at will. But basically, they keep people safe and there's stability there. But the price of that is that if you're sort of a less savoury citizen, then you might well find you're in, being eaten by them effectively.
Well,
you commit the crime, and then you got to do the time.
Well, in his belly.
In his belly, yeah.
This is the thing. If you're eating all the criminals, no more criminals.
Yeah.
This seems like a perfectly legitimate legal system.
Yeah. And the Travellers are a sort of carny, Romany type faction that are going to bring a lot of colour to our world in all the bright colours of the carnival, and their main theme is all about curses and that sort of stuff.
That sounds interesting to me.
Yeah.
Okay, the next thing you had mentioned is a campaign that you're working on at the moment. Now, is this something you had already ran a Kickstarter for, or was it part of the original Kickstarter?
No, it's part of the original Kickstarter. We wanted to give people, we said to people we wanted the game to have campaigns in it and sort of, moving characters on as well in regards to, potential sort of a bit of an RPG feel to it. So we're trying to, currently working on that at the moment. And as Don mentioned, we've got a Facebook testing group, which we just posted up recently, the first scenario for that, which is the Sea Queen, effectively landfall for the Sea Queen. And
you have the Sea Queen as a miniature?
We do.
Now, is she on the web store, or is she like a show exclusive?
No, she's on the web store. You can purchase her. The only exclusive model we've got is the Cultist Leader, which we are going to we will be selling at shows. And if people can't get to shows, which we appreciate they can't, we will be selling them on the website
during the shows.
During the shows, yeah.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
In regards to sort of the Travellers and the Brotherhood, we're considering Kickstarter for that. We could do it via retail, and build up the money to get the factions produced. But if people want us to bring that timeline forward, if they want it now, for example, then.
Oh, it's 2017. We all want it right now.
Then it'd be interesting to hear people's comments on which way they think that it would be beneficial.
The way I would look at it is you can go down the Kickstarter route. Definitely a great idea. Definitely a great platform to actually take those quantum leap forwards to actually get stuff down on the table. If you're going down the retail route, one suggestion I might make is perhaps release miniatures at a slower rate.
Yeah.
Have them as like mercenaries that can drop into the factions, and then once the faction is all out there, you essentially do a story campaign that's saying, okay, they're now all ready to play as their faction, and here you go. So you can do it either way.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how people feel about going back to Kickstarter to jump ahead, or taking that slow-paced build-up.
Yeah. I mean, we've only been released now for a couple of months, and we want to make sure that as well as looking at new factions on the horizon, we also want to look at expanding existing factions as well, so that people then have choices that they can have when they come to scenarios.
Now, here's a question for you. Whenever people are playing the game, I'm assuming you're probably going to say avoid just always playing kill each other missions. Actually pick some cool scenarios, because they'll add some extra rules and stuff to the game, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, from the demo games that you've had, we played 2 particular scenarios that weren't just go across the board and kill each other. There is that scenario one in there that if people just want to rock up and play a killy mission, and that's an ideal one for people to learn the mechanics and things like that. But the scenarios on from that are all a little bit more nuanced and more tactical, and tell a bit more of a story.
All right, is that everything, gents?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you guys here this week.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
You've created a great game. It's worth people actually taking a look at. If this is one that has been on your radar and you haven't actually had the chance to look at yet, you don't have a huge amount of work to do to get into the game, and once you're in the game, it is going to let you tell some great stories. So, things to do here: get your comments in below. Tell us, which of the factions do you like? Is this a game that you've jumped in on? Are you looking forward to the Sea Queen campaign? And do you think the guys should go retail, or do you maybe think another Kickstarter is due to actually bring out more factions for the game? So we will move on here, and we will see you in the next one.